My wife and I had been married for 19 years. We had been together for 25 years. We had 3 great kids under the age of 14. In 2015, she lost her mother to cancer, and in 2016, her father to cancer. This sent her into a deep depression. For the following 2 years, I took care of the kids while she worked. The dead bedroom started during this time. Nothing made her happy. Now, because she didn't talk to me, I started playing video games when the kids went to bed. After 2 years, she started coming out of her depression. She talked more and wanted to do stuff with the family. We started being physical again. This went on for a year, then I lost my father. This sent me into a depression because we were very close. Like my wife, I closed myself off to her. I started playing video games more and I ignored my wife. I never stopped saying I love you or giving hugs or taking her out. We started sleeping in different rooms because our son had a medical condition where we had to keep an eye on him at night. So I slept in his room. I moved my Xbox in there and played video games for a couple of hours until I fell asleep. Then COVID happened. My kids' school went remote and my wife started working from home. My wife's job required her to start looking for supplies to reopen her business when the restrictions stopped. She started working closely with another member of her company. After a few months, she started being distant and stopped communicating with me. I tried to keep telling her I loved her and buying small gifts to show my love and appreciation. We decided for the 2020/2021 school year, we would keep our kids home to remotely learn because our son had a serious medical condition. I was so busy with the kids' school that I didn't notice the distance getting worse until much later. The dead bedroom started again. Then in the summer of 2021, I started to work for Lyft because we needed extra money. I worked on the days she worked from home so she could be close to our son's school. In the fall of 2021, I picked up this lady from the airport and drove her to her hotel downtown. During this ride, she talked to her female friend on the phone about meeting her affair partner to have sex because they were both in town for business. She said her husband was at home with the kids and was playing video games. They hadn't had sex in over a year. He was too busy to know she was cheating. I started thinking this sounded like us. So I started being more affectionate and more loving. I was already a loving and affectionate person. The distance was getting worse. I wrote a letter telling her I loved her and I knew there was distance between us. I wanted to work it out, but she had to be willing to work on us. She said she would try to be better. For the next year, she showed hardly any affection and didn't want sex because her depression pills killed her sex drive. We barely held hands, didn't say she loved me unless I said it first. When we were in the car together, she slept so she didn't talk. D-Day was May 4th of this year. My wife went into the office. I went to work and I was texting her during the day with no response. Then she finally called me and I told her I had been texting her all day. She told me she never got my texts because of the signal in her office. She had Google Chat, so I messaged her there. It would show up on her work computer. No responses. She got home and after we put the kids to sleep, she took a shower. This was when I finally broke down and checked her phone. Now May 4th is a big Star Wars day, may the 4th be with you. So I checked her texts from me. It was true she didn't get them until she left the office. I checked Google Chat and this was where I found her cheating. She woke up that day and messaged him Star Wars GIFs. I was also a Star Wars fan. Did I get one? Absolutely not. So I checked all their messages and the affair had been going on for almost 3 years. There were tons of I miss you and I love you messages. I felt so stupid. I was completely devastated. This guy moved to Kansas in 2020 but came into the office 1 week in a month since he worked remotely the other weeks. I guess when they had Zoom meetings to get their business open, he began to flirt. In the past, guys would flirt with her and she would shut them down. This guy wasn't as handsome as me. I'm not a 10, I have a little dad bod. Maybe I was a 6 or 7, he was a 4. She began to flirt back, then they would go to lunch together. Then the lunches turned to going to his hotel room for lunchtime sex, and she would tell me she had to work late to have more sex. I even saw a text to her friend saying the sex wasn't better, she just craved the attention. So I screenshot everything to myself. I didn't say anything, I was having surgery in the summer and needed her help. After surgery, we decided to move closer to family. She barely helped me look for houses. I checked her phone again in October. I guess the relationship came to an end in June, before my surgery. He was mad that she was taking time to care for me and the kids. I was wondering why she became more affectionate and loving, and wanted to have sexy time with me after I healed. Last week we got into a huge argument because she started being distant and wasn't communicating again. So I yelled and told her I knew she cheated with a coworker. She denied it and said I was overreacting. Then I shoved the evidence in her face. Then she stopped yelling and putting me down and started crying. I just left and went to my sister's house. I came back home to be with the kids for Christmas. Then I will leave again. I told her I am filing for divorce after the new year. She cried and asked who would drive her to work and pick her up, who would help her with the kids. I told her to ask her affair partner. Then she started crying more, saying we could work it out, do marriage counseling. I will seek full custody when I file the divorce paperwork, also alimony and child support. 25 years feels wasted.